Speaking of chain, I have been absolutely stumped. Hey everybody, this is Jake at Brookhaven Farms. Today, we're cutting some firewood, cutting all these down trees that we cleared out of our field. We got to get everything ready for seed and get ready for the spring. As you can see here behind us, we have the John Deere hooked to the grapple. And what we do is we like to pick the log up and then we cut straight down. That way your chain don't get run in the dirt, don't get run in rocks, and it keeps your chain going faster. Speaking of chain, I have been absolutely stumped. That was kind of funny, you got to admit. Anyway, I have been stumped on trying to figure out how to keep your chain sharp and how to sharpen the chain effectively. We have local hardware stores and everything that'll sharpen your chain for you. However, we're going to show you how to sharpen a chain on the farm. You don't always have the opportunity to run the hardware store and sharpen your chain. And guess what, guys? I was dedicated and determined to figure out how to sharpen a chainsaw chain with a file, because it's cheaper, it's faster. I don't have time to go to the hardware store, and I'm young. I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life. So it just takes the time to learn how to do it. A few YouTube videos. Found a few YouTube videos that were decent, but I want to create a YouTube video to show you how to sharpen your chainsaw chain, and so you can get through all this wood fast. Speaking of fast, we've been busy today. We got this pile and probably two piles bigger than this up there on the top of the hill that we have been cutting and ready for some firewood. These logs right here we're going to save for some saw logs. Maybe find somebody that's got a sawmill. I want to build a pole barn out of wood from our farm. I think that'd be really cool. Today we're going to do my take on sharpening a chainsaw and a little bit of basic things about the chainsaw. So I have went to hardware stores and all these different places to try to sharpen my chainsaw chain, and I could never figure it out. I bought the fancy steel things to try to sharpen them and all those little tools. Let me tell you something. We just ran that chainsaw for probably 7 hours today, cutting like butter. This is just a regular file. These are a few bucks at your local hardware store. That's all you need. I know I've seen people on YouTube using vices and different things to hold your chainsaw. Let's be real, guys. We're a farmer. You don't need any of that. You just need a little bit of common sense and a little know-how. So now that we have our chainsaw chain right here, if you look right here at the tip of this, there's going to be a line that's diagonal. Every chainsaw chain should have that line right there. That's the angle you're going to file at. So what you want to do is put your file in there. And there's different files for different size chains. You just have to read on the box what size chain you got and then what file you got. So then what you're going to do is you're going to put that file in there. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up on my chain. So I'm going to pull my chain a little bit out, and then I'm going to push my file across my blade. This seems super simple, so pull up on your chain and push through. Pull up on your chain, push through. That's 2 swipes, 3, 4, 5. You probably don't have to do it that many times, and then I just give it 1 or 2 little swipes right there. So you're sharpening. If you just push it straight through, you're just going to sharpen the half moon part of your chainsaw chain. And if you pull up on it, you're actually going to sharpen the part where the chain goes into the wood. And then to move it forward, you don't have to grab right here on your chain. Just take your file and just push it forward to the next one. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to pull up, push. I'm just going to follow that angle. You don't have to be exactly perfect, but just try to be close. And you just push it through, pull up, push through, pull up, push through. And then I'm just going to give it a few little swipes here. And I can go to my next one. You want that to come to a point. You don't want this tooth right here to be rounded in any way. You want it to come to a nice sharp point, and you want it to be on this angle. If you're ever not sure what the angle is, just take your file and put it next to that line, and then work in that. Then just move it right over, and you can work in that angle. So you just push it through like this. So now that we're looking at our chainsaw blade from this side, one thing that you have to make sure that you do is you have to come to your sharp blade. So you have sharp blades going this way, and a lot of times you'll have an arrow on your chain. It'll make sure when you put your chain on, it's going in the right direction. Another great thing to always do is these are called your dogs, or your depth. This is what determines the depth that this is going to cut into. Your sharp blade is going to cut into. And this piece is the one that determines your depth. So if you just put something flat on that chainsaw blade, you can see that there's a gap between this one and this one. So put that file there, and guess what? You have a gap. You don't want a big gap, you just want that little bit of gap there. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow that chainsaw to make sawdust. If you file this down too much, your saw is going to cut a lot faster. I do not recommend that for beginners. It's going to be throwing more chunks. It also makes your kickbacks worse whenever you're cutting with your chainsaw. So let's go back to sharpening a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to pick up on the blade and push. Pick up, push. Then I'm just going to push it forward. And again, just follow that angle the best you can. And yeah, a vise does make it a little easier, but I mean, shoot, she ain't got to have one. This takes a little bit of practice to kind of get in the swing of things. But once you kind of get a good rhythm down, it does not take very long. And a few of these are a little bit too small, so we're gonna have to get a new chain here soon, guys. But I think you ought to be able to, if you sharpen it like this and get it good and sharp, you ought to be able to get 2 tanks of gas out of it, and then just make a few passes on your chain and get it honed back in. You want to pick up and push. Pick up and push. And then just run it a few times to make sure, like what we talked about on this backside, this half moon is good. Thank you guys for sticking around on Brookhaven's take on sharpening your chainsaw chain. Those are just a few short, simple techniques that we have found to be helpful and useful. I've spent a lot of time on YouTube trying to figure out how to sharpen a chainsaw chain. I know that seems absolutely ridiculously easy. However, it takes a little bit of fine art. Guys, this is Jake at Brookhaven Farms. Hope you enjoyed our video. God bless. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.